They are the same people who have been funding for many decades all of the themes that underscore the idea of climate change as being a disaster and help, the sky is falling in. Same people. And they're also the same people who have funded the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, and they're also the same people that come together and manifest as that absurd Bond villain, Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, and their basic fourth industrial revolution. So basically, the pandemic, which never happened, was the opening salvo in a 10-year plan. It's a coup of the world. They've already done it. Frankly, if we don't stop them, they've already won. So they've nearly 3 years now. They've wrecked the economy. Remember, there was never a public health threat. Look how much they've achieved through propaganda and technology, censorship, and loads of people know this is bullshit. But they've succeeded in smashing the place. And I'm afraid they are systematically using the same money and the same influence. They are dismantling modern society. Let me just enumerate in a few ways. Remember, I'm not an expert, but I can read the bloody evidence. So power systems, electrical generation systems in every country have been allowed to go to rack and ruin over decades. And now we're at a point where there is inadequate electrical generation, and then they'll turn more things off, and it will be cold and dark in Europe this year. Then they've allowed themselves to become so dependent, say, on Russian gas, and then forced to conflict. And so that will be turned off, and that will be cold and dark. So normally when you think of an outage, not getting gas, not getting water or electricity, you think, well, there'll be executives and workers with hard hats scurrying around to fix it. Let me tell you, I don't think there is any such fix. So as it breaks, they'll be breaking it further. And as the things that depend upon it fail, they'll be breaking those further too. So if you imagine what Germany will be like after 8 months of this, all industry will be off. The grid will be intermittent, if not off. Everything that depends on permanent, uninterrupted power will be off. Supply chains, freezers, medical supplies, food, transport. You won't have a job to go to because the power will be off. And if you imagine someone's got an axe and they're continuing to chop away at the foundations of the tree house that you're in, and they're doing the same thing at different speeds in Britain. They're doing the same thing at different speeds in Italy. And I've just heard this morning that the Chinese, for their own reasons, have decided to shut down the world's most intensive electronics area. I think Shenzhen, they're closing down 4 major centers, which are probably the bulk of the production of all the things that we come to defend on. Our whole lives are experienced through these little glowing rectangles. They pulled the world apart. So basically COVID, climate change, fourth industrial revolution. And I'm afraid they're using the same models, methods of censorship, lies to reinforce that, you've got to have less, it's the new sobriety, but I'm afraid it's old feudalism. It'll be a few hundred people own absolutely everything on the planet, including your soul, your assets, your children, because where they're going. So this bit about money I know from a lady called Catherine Austin Fitts.
Yep.
If your readers don't know about Catherine Austin Fitts, they need to, but she has been watching this for 30 years, I guess. She believes that the Bank of International Settlements, the criminals running our central banks and so on, all the big corporations, big media companies, big everything, big pharma, big tech, big banks, and so on, they've decided that they don't want us as like an annoying bit on their spreadsheet, free society and buying and selling from each other. So basically, the wreckage of the society, the wreckage of industrial society that's going on right now, and the overprinting of money that we've all seen to support furlough, where do you think that came from? Will debase every sovereign currency on the planet, says Catherine, the expert. She spent longer in banking than I have in pharma. So I believe her when she says this. That this is a controlled demolition of the financial system, which will have to be rescued by the globalists introducing a cashless digital money instead. And people don't realize, if you've got cashless, if it's cashless, you have no choice but to spend through the authorization system they control. And she jokes, but she's not joking, when she says they will have control over every transaction. If they don't want you to buy pizza, Robert, you will not be able to buy pizza. No. It can be that granular. So it's a total slave society, and people by scoffing and going, "Oh, Yeadon's a conspiracy theorist. Oh, he's making too much of it." I'm not.
No.
I,
Mike, you'd be very pleased to hear that my audience is very informed about all of this. For 2 years, we have been slowly but surely getting to the same point where you're at. It's good to hear from you too. But
Good.
this is, I mean, it's basically, I said it 2 years ago. This is a war, and look at what happened. The streets were empty, and not a gunshot had been fired. So that's a war situation, and people don't feel it. People don't see it with their Netflix but after 2 years of doing this, thank God, a lot of people are awakening, and a lot of very strong and smart people are awakening, and those will have to make the difference. They will have to make the difference.
I think it's worth saying. It is worth saying that even if we could stop them today, and even if everything fell over, I often say this to people, that human beings have recovered from greater disasters. You know, if you imagine you lived in Hamburg and it's 1946, and apparently the Hausfraus were out in the street with a mortar chisel, and they were knocking mortar off and making big piles of bricks. And then the next day they were starting to build a wall again. It's like, if you're left to get on with it, humans are unbelievably resilient, and human flourishing will return. But if people are actually putting their hands around your neck and squeezing tighter and tighter and tighter, which is what they're doing, if we don't resist now while we've still got wriggle room, I think it will be irreversible by spring. I personally think you will not be able to resist.
Correct, because that's logical, yeah.
The idea that people can resist with guns, it's like, yes, I absolutely support your right to defend yourself, but you know what? They're not stupid. They have not sought to take the world over using a method that you can resist them. It'd be like leaving a fire escape open, and then mark fire escape. Like people who want to go to law, give me a break. They've taken the court. I knew they'd taken the court system before the first serious case. So you can't use any institution. I don't know what we have to use. Human ingenuity, wake the lions up. People who won't follow and aren't they aren't aggressors on other people. You're a lion. I've become a lion. I don't want to be a lion, but I am.
Yeah, because you came out swinging over an hour ago now, but it's a fantastic conversation. No, I love it. You came out swimming. You said swinging. You said I'm actually surprised that they didn't murder me. And I know why you're saying that, because I mean, a lot of people, whistleblowers from especially the pharmaceutical area and the higher ups. I mean, you must have known people who, I don't know, tragically died or mysteriously disappeared, or
I heard of people in Hoffmann La Roche. I heard a couple in Switzerland that sort of vanished. I didn't know them, but I did think they have displeased someone. I was aware. I was aware that, and it happens in. I'm not naive. And in fact, people who think this is all conspiracy theory, get real. People with money have always worked with other people with money to try and create a situation where their money is preserved and amplified. You would do the same, probably, in their shoes if you've been born a billionaire.
Me?
I'm just saying all of you. I don't think we would be evil, but I think you'd find yourself in alliance with other rich people. And so, I don't say that what has happened is inevitable, but it's really not that fantastic. No. It's not fantastic. It's not.
There's
not
true. We've been confronted here with true evil and darkness. And the thing is that shedding light by telling the truth, that gives that sheds a lot of light on this darkness, and that's important to do. And we shouldn't succumb to it, and we should keep fighting and exposing, and also I think we shouldn't be afraid. I'm very much people who are so gloomy and so this all is doom and gloom. The end of the world is here. How does that help anything?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, somebody the other day told me that. They said unkindly, but probably accurately, you can divide the world into three groups, mostly sheep. Yeah. It won't matter what you say to them. They're not going to do anything except they'll continue to align to the herd. So you speak to them if you can, be kind. Then there's the hyenas, which are the people doing this. And they're not nice individuals. And the third are lions that they're just going to speak their truth. And, basically, if enough of us stand up I think others will realize the truth of what we're saying. And it's up to them. Do they want to orientate to what the hyenas tell the sheep to do, or are they going to walk in our direction, walk in the light?
Because if we could end on a positive note here, I mean, all the things that you've been warning about for 2 years, all the stuff that we've been talking about here for 2 years, it's been proven correct. And there's basically, we've reached a point where, once again, no serious person or semi-serious person can continue with this nonsense and can support it. And that's a good thing, because it's been 2 dreadful years and they won't stop. These people will keep coming at us. But
here's just a couple of minutes. So your peers, not you, but your peers in regular media, like BBC, ITV, Sky, all these CNBC and so on. Let me just address you for a moment.
Sure.
If you think that the globalists' warm words to you, that you will have a golden seat at the table, and therefore you should just keep doing what we're telling you. If you believe that, you're a bigger fool than I already take you for. They're going to eviscerate you, take your assets and your children. So if you think you're going to protect your children because you've got money, I've got news for you. If you happen not to be the person around the golden throne, after the digital introduction of digital cashless money, they will take your assets, your houses, your cars, your family. They will take your children. All of this is about dehumanizing, totalitarian control. There's not going to be room for nice little cozy families. So if you want to take care of your family in either now or when you're older, have community of any kind, any standard of living, you have to shake free and turn towards the light. Deny them your fear, deny them your cooperation immediately. I mean, now, and the one of you, and those of you in media, resign today, announce that this is all fraud and you're not going along with it anymore, and then resign. Or tell your executive editors you're going to speak truth today, and if you could imagine persuading 3 or 4 presenters and important anchors on one TV network that today we're no longer going to go along with the bullshit, and we're going to actually start telling the truth from today. And imagine if the owners of the station say, well, we're going to fire you. And they'll go, well, you will have no show tonight because all 4 main presenters and all 12 stand-ins are all leaving.
Yeah.
We launched a boy can dream, can't he?
Yeah. Because we're fully supported by our audience. I don't have advertisers. I don't have the big network behind me. Nothing. It's just support from. And so we had a clothing line. It was just media is the virus. And media is the virus. And the funniest thing, Mike, what blows my mind, before all this COVID, people always said, I don't trust politicians. They're lying. And people said the media is horrible. They're lying. We don't trust anything that's put out in the media. And pharma. And pharma as well. I'm very critical of pharma. And this happens, and all of a sudden, all these people. I couldn't believe it. I was just taken aback by all this.
The only thing that would be slightly worse would be if Kim Jong-un turns up as a used car salesman, and handing out bank loans or something. You couldn't come up with a more comically untrustworthy group than media, pharma, and what was the other one?
It was the politicians. Yeah,
it's literally absurd. You couldn't come up with a less trustworthy group if you tried, like estate agents.
Absolutely, but I think what people now see more. So the politicians and the media, people already knew, but somehow went right back to them. But the thing is, I think big pharma has also been exposed here. I mean, the big pharmaceutical companies. So. Yeah, no, but I knew there was some evil going on. I never knew it was like this, Mike.
I know, me either. I suppose I just never saw evidence of it, and it never occurred to me to look. I haven't got a better defense than that. I'm sure the evidence was around me, but I just never looked.
Dr. Mike Yeadon, it's been great talking to you. And once again, thank you very much for stepping into this limelight that you never sought. And you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to do it. And you did. And it helped a lot of people, including myself. And it's good to hear all this. And listen, we'll stay positive. We'll stay positive.
Yeah, absolutely. Speak again. So thank you very much for letting me speak to your audience, Robert, and thank you for your courage in your work too.
Thank you, Mike. Wat een moedige man.